All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another webinar Wednesday. Just let me know in the chat if you guys can hear, if everything is clear. Lovely. Cool. Okay, so guys, today is another pretty exciting episode. Once again, we have a guest joining us. So this week we have Moosa Gani. Um, And Musa, while you're here, I'd rather just hand over the introduction to you.
Sure, not a problem.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bilal. Morning, everyone. Nice to see you guys on this wonderful, not so cold Wednesday.
Mhm.
Name is Moosa Gani. I currently work at a company called Entelect Software. I function as a delivery manager, but I look after a bunch of accounts across the board within insurance, banking. I've roughly got about 20 odd years within the software development experience. Been building systems from the good old C++, VB6 days right up to the latest tech involving Flutter, .NET, and Python, and all your latest wonderful goodies. It's been a long career. It's still exciting. It's never a dull moment in our industry, which is fun, keeps you on your toes. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean that career is quite long, and you probably know it inside and out after that many years. So I mean, I kind of just want to pick your brain a little bit about that because we have, most of our students are either looking to get into like freelance development work or getting into a development career. So, I mean, honestly, you're just like a fountain of knowledge when it comes to that stuff. So okay, just on a very high level, right? A student who's studying, who's going to graduate later this year, and is trying to prepare to get into a career at a development firm or development company. So, what advice would you give them, for that first step,
For
transitioning
sure.
from a student to a career?
For sure, for sure. So, I mean, look, in terms of let's be very specific here about the software development industry, right? Tertiary education will get you to a certain point, right? But there's a big focus on skills. Any sort of academic person coming out of a university or tertiary education institute, right? The first 1 to 5 years of your career is critical. And your sole purpose is to make sure that you build the right skill set, right? So, whether you can be functional in a specific programming language, whether you can add value from a back end, whether you can add value from a front end, but you've got to be able to be functional, right? At the end
Mm,
of the day, if you take corporate South Africa and you take away all of the work will be either in your banking, financial institutions, etc., they're looking for skilled people, right? So if you're a software developer, or you're a software engineer, and you're coming into the industry and you're banking on your people skills, it's only going to take you so far. At the end of the day, you have got to be able to build the necessary skill to do a specific job. Right now, in this world, in this career, it's very technical, it's very broad. What do we mean by that, right? So to start off with, I think you in terms of what you've studied and what you've done, a key piece of it goes to your ability to problem solve, right? So part of your career is made up of your ability, your skill, but it's also made up of your professionalism, right? So if we're looking for prospective candidates, or we're looking for people that we want to bring into our organization, or a new bank is launching and they want to bring in a bit of young blood or a bit of youth into the thing, they're looking for people with aptitude. They're looking for people who can problem solve. They are looking for people who are proficient up to a certain point in a certain set of skill, right? I don't have an expectation for juniors to come in and solve all the problems, but I do have an expectation for juniors to come in, pick up what they're learning and pick it up fast and be able to add value in a short space of time. So to use a real world example, right? We've started a project at a well-known insurance company, and we're going to basically do a greenfields project, and we're going to use new tech. We're going to build it. We're going to build the desktop and the web application. Sorry, the web application and the mobile application utilizing Flutter. we're going to have a Python backend sitting in AWS. Now, if you break that down, the value that you can add is either you can provide value on the Flutter front end, you can provide value on the Flutter web side of things in terms of desktop versus mobile. You either can add value in the Python backend, you can either add value in the AWS ecosystem with regards to DevOps pipelines, being able to get things out. So as you can see, you take a simple project like that, it does have multiple streams, multiple layers, but that 1 to 5 years, your core focus as people coming out of tertiary is to build as much skill as you possibly can across as many areas as you can, because that will give you the leg up and the ability to market yourself later on much better.
Hmm. Kind of, I mean, it's a value that we teach here at IT Varsity. We try to drill into our students, but I mean, to hear it from our guests, it's always so much. It carries so much more weight. But basically, I love the point where you make in that you get out of university from a tertiary space into a career, but your learning doesn't really stop there. Well, in reality, it's only just begun, right?
Yep.
Um, and it's more often than not the tech skills that you have to worry about, but everything that fits on the peripherals of that that really help you to lift up your tech skills and elevate it. And that really is what gets you into a career or helps you to make headways. So as a student, right? Again, a lot of our students within the next 4 or 5 months, they're going to be graduating, and they're going to be transitioning into that in that phase. So with these skills, right, is there something that they can do in the time being to help them get to that point? So just when they get into the career, when they get into a company, they're not just being tossed into the deep end. There's some preparation work that they've done already. Anything that you would suggest?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, look, I'm not sure what everyone's plans is, but I think the first thing to start off with is to apply everywhere. It's a game of numbers, right? So make sure that you are not complacent in where you apply. So don't just apply at one place, apply at 500 places if you can, right? You're bound to get opportunities just through the sheer number of applications that you can do, right? So I think that's a very important first piece. Don't underestimate building quality relationships and reaching out to people at organizations that you want to work with. Gone are the days of just firing off an email with a CV. Chances are you're probably not going to get the result you're looking for. Hunt down the person in HR, be very specific about the intention and the result you're looking for. So, for example, if you were to apply at Intellect, you now know someone at Intellect, you can hassle me. As much as I will ask you not to hassle me, I'm giving you permission to hustle and not take no for an answer and basically send the email, right? It's critical for you to understand that no one is going to drive as much as you are going to drive. No one is going to bat for you. That you have to do yourself. You have to take charge of your own life, your own career, and you have to drive what it is you're looking for. So that's a very important piece, right? After that, from a tech skill perspective, depending on where you're at and what your aptitude is and what your preference is, right? Definitely pick up a backend skill, whether it be .NET, whether it be Java, whether it be JavaScript, but you're looking for a good grounding in a backend skill, right? So that's being able to build a server-side application that can talk to a database, that you can have some business logic in, that you understand the components of a backend. Why would you have an API? How do you build an API? How would you expose an API? A bit of IDE management, development management, DevOps management, the different types of hosting options, and how would you connect to a database? What different types of databases are there? That's on the, let's call it, back end side of things. If you are more attuned to something on the front end, then definitely something to pick up are things like React, Angular, JavaScript, TypeScript, right? Working with cross platforms like Blazor or Flutter. Definitely being able to, and when I say that being able to do these things, it's not just about picking up a course, going through the index from beginning to end and saying, okay, cool, I'm proficient now. No, it's more than that. You actually have to build a functional application. So I'm sure in university they would have had a whole bunch of applications that exist. The point here is not to get married to the idea of the application that you're building. Your intention is not to try and sell this thing for millions of dollars down the line. Your intention is to set out a task for yourself to be like, okay, I'm going to do a to-do application. And by the time you finish that process, that application is going to be functional on an app store. It's going to be installable on multiple mobile devices, or it's going to be accessible through the web. It's got to be able to allow someone to log in. It's got to be able to allow someone to do the functions of a to-do application. If you can get to a point, where you are proficient or comfortable with actually finishing an application, no matter how small it is, that's a good place to be. It sets you up for the future. It gives you a good basing with which to work off of. As a huge amount of commonality across any project that you're going to do, right? You'll hear things like the 80-20 rule, right? Takes 80% of the time to build 20% of the functionality, and vice versa. What you'll find is that the devil is in the detail. As a delivery manager, my focus is to make sure that projects go out on time, on budget, right? And what we spend a lot of the time with our people is to make sure that they are focused. So if your mandate is to build a Toyota Hilux, don't go try build a Bentley. Stick to the Hilux, right? If you are saying, okay, I need to be proficient in the next 4 months or 5 months, put down a very clear plan. I'm choosing .NET as a backend language. I am going to deploy, okay, how do I deploy an API into a normal server versus a cloud server? What do I need there? Do I need DevOps? Okay, I'm going to build a to-do application. I need a front end for that thing. Am I going to build it in Angular? Am I going to build it in whatever the case is? Pick and choose what it is you want to do, and then utilize the courseware and the material to help get you to the point you need to get to. And that will give you a good leg up and a decent set of experience.
Lovely. I mean, guys, by the way, if you have any questions, just drop them into the chat at any point, and then we'll start going through them.
I have a question, Tala.
Oh, go for it.
Assalamualaikum. How's it, Moosa?
Well, good, thanks, and you.
Very well, thanks. I just want to thank you for taking the time. I know how hectic you are. I know what a developer's life is like, and I really appreciate it. By the way, congratulations on, I believe you guys were crowned Employer of Choice in the Segia Awards.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 questions, right? So well done on that. So my first question is, on what basis did you guys win that award? I mean, what is it about working at Entelect? And the second question from me is, okay, as much as you're advising my students, what advice would you have for me as the person running this educational institute in terms of how do we prep these young people? Because that's our end result, right? IT Varsity doesn't exist to give out certificates. We exist to place every one of my graduates into good jobs and excellent companies like you guys. So what advice would you have for us as a training institute in order to best prepare them to be ready for joining your teams?
Definitely. Cool, man. Okay, so to answer the first question, Intellect is what, Intellect will consider themselves, or we consider ourselves a people first, culture first company, right? And to give you the frame or the context behind that, right? Culture is not something you say, it's something you do, right? So you lead by example. I think that's the first piece, right? There's a huge focus on playing the person and not necessarily the role. At the end of the day, our company is only successful and strong because we try and find the best talented people that we can. Now, having a talented person is one thing. The question is, how do you look after that person? Developers by default, by nature, are very introverted, very sensitive. They're very different types of people. So the way in which you deal with them, the way in which you deal with, let's say, a grad in his first year of his career is very different to the way in which you treat someone who's senior, sitting with 15 years of experience. And the point is that you're very specific about how you deal with your individuals, where you're always trying to have their best interest at heart. No one knows everything, and it's our goal to try and help everyone through there, right? We're so serious about maintaining or retaining our quality talent and our people.
I think we lost him.
Oh, I thought it was
actually to retain the talent, right?
Yeah, so we lost you there for a few seconds, Moosa. Sorry about that.
Sorry, what was the last thing you heard?
you were talking about how you guys are a culture first company and how developers are sensitive and you need to deal with them in a certain way.
Right. So we've got all of that, right? So we tailor make the career experience for the people that we work with, right? At your level, we know what juniors need, we know what seniors need, and we help them to sort of get the best out of them. We're so serious about talent that our international expansion into different countries hasn't been for financial gain, is so that when the talent leaves the country here, that we still have access to them overseas. So that's how serious we are about retaining talent. Retention for us is a key thing, right? Now, how do we go about doing it? There's a whole bunch of structures set up, but essentially, it's all about the growth of the individual. So there's like three values where growth isn't optional, you get shit done, and relationships set us apart. So we're constantly investing in our people from a technical perspective, but we also provide them a level of support at the different layer that they at. So juniors will get training specific to that. Up and coming leaders or existing leaders will get very specific training to their space and the type of things that they're doing. And there's a constant move to grow people, right? We do a very robust review system. So during the course of the year, there's 4 reviews. It's minor, major, minor, major every quarter. By the time you get to a major review, that's where you would have captured a bunch of feedback on your peers would have captured feedback on you. We then sit down in an hour, 2 hour session. It'll be yourself as your developer, your team lead, and your manager. And basically we go through the feedback. So it's like, listen here, you did well here, or you didn't do so well here, or we need to give you kudos here. And we basically have a very constructive, critical feedback session with these people to be like, these are areas you need to improve. These are areas that we need to congratulate you, or these are areas that we need to support you in certain ways. And that happens like clockwork every 3 months. And that's what allows people, you go into an organization in certain corporates, and the next time you hear from your managers, like a year later, when it's time to do your salary, increase or renewal. So we try to invest into our people as much as we can.
Fantastic. Yeah, and my second question, your advice to us as a training organization.
Great. So let's talk about that, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day, right, let's focus on a very key thing. Let's keep it to skills, right? So in a software development environment, in a software development industry, right? Someone can go do 100 courses. It doesn't mean that they are proficient enough to build a piece of software. Now that's where the experience comes in, right? What you guys, I believe, need to do, and I mean, look, we bring in about between 50 to 100 grads a year, right? And inside of what we have a boot camp that we take them through for 2.5 months, and it's quite a rigorous boot camp. But essentially, what they're doing is they're building a e-commerce store application that goes through various stages. So we take them through a very specific set of analysis that they need to look at, and we mark the homework. We make them build a very specific backend inside of Spring Boot and Java. We then make them build a front end in a different technology, and then we make them integrate all of it towards the end. We then rip out the backend and put in another backend. So we try to simulate as close to a real world environment as we can. I think in your instance, in terms of a university, right, I think you've got a lot of opportunity that you can do. Something to the tune of marketing your services or your development services to a smaller market or to a retail market that exists within South Africa. So smaller companies that are looking for people to take on technical tasks, right? You could basically say, we could support your existing application, and you could take that application on, work out a commercial model, and set the expectation that, look, you are working with students, so maybe don't give us mission critical stuff. But then that gives you access to take on an existing application and basically force your students to now maintain it. They'll then get access to what a service desk looks like. They'll get access to how to look after a real-time system, in comparison to, let's say someone came and said, look, I need a new app, or I got a greenfields project, right? You could either take a from the market requirement and build it for them at a reduced rate or whatever that is, or you could simulate applications that you build out every year. So it could be things like a to-do application. It could be a game that you want to build. It could be a CRM application. It could be taking things off the shelf and forcing them to integrate. The key point here is that the end result is not so much the focus for you. It's about putting your students in an environment that tries to simulate the real world. So in majority of the development teams that exist, right, there is always a stakeholder or product owner who's driving this is the thing I want built, this is what I'm looking for. Then there's a team of developers with maybe a senior or a team lead that's coordinating and driving the effort, and basically putting together a bunch of junior developers and then putting in the right type of ceremony. So whether you're running Agile or Kanban and you're doing stand-ups in the morning, but essentially making sure that that team basically has time and effort and support on a daily basis to apply themselves 3, 4, 6 hours a day, getting together with a team, going through a backlog of items, going through a demo every Friday of what's been built, and just sort of simulating that environment. And I think it's not so much the thing you build, it's just the fact that there is something to build and that there's someone on the other side who can mark the homework and say, this is really horrible or this is really great. This is what you should be looking at.
Fantastic. That's phenomenal. So I'm hearing basically two things here. One is building actual solutions, and the second is simulating the working environment while they are studying with us. So which brings me to a follow-up question, which is that if there are students in our ranks right now who haven't really graduated, but who want to be part of projects that you guys are working on, is there an opportunity? My question is there an opportunity for them to come in as unpaid interns just to do some kind of VAC work, some free time work with you guys? Can they reach out to you for that?
Yeah, definitely. So we do provide VAC work spots. We take in a bunch of VAC workers during the course of the year. We also do quite a few open days. I'm not sure if Varsity College is part of that, but we do grad open days 2 to 3 a year. So if I'll send you as much follow-up information as I can so that you guys can start applying on that side.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. Guys, students, this is a gold mine. Moosa is a gold mine of information here and opportunities. So please ask away. What are your questions? Go for it.
I'll take Rumesh as one, yeah. So for reference, since the IT space is always evolving and changing, can you share some effective strategies for continuously learning and staying updated with new technologies and frameworks, especially as juniors entering the field? Rumesh, the best thing that you can do, the best muscle or skill that you can build is the ability to learn or learning to learn, right? I kid you not. Every single year I wake up and there's new technology, but it's the same principle. So whether you're building an app in .NET or Java, whether you're building an app in Android native, iOS native, or Flutter, the principles are the same. Your ability to learn something quickly, or can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Your ability to learn fast, your ability to learn quickly, your ability to learn is where you should focus on. The industry is going to change. There are going to be multitude of text and tech stacks that are going to come out the door. You yourself are going to work over the next 5 years, in a multitude of different technologies. Your goal is not to focus on trying to master everything. Your goal is to focus on the big picture, build the necessary skills in yourself so that when things change, you'll be able to adapt quickly.
Perfect. Yeah, it's that the value of learning and constantly learning. So, I think a lot of our students also have this idea that, not our students specifically, but students in general have the idea that you learn and then you get into a career and then that's it. But more and more we hear that your learning journey only truly starts once you enter the working space. And with the speed at which technology goes, you just have to constantly be learning. So I think that's a golden bit of advice right there. You keep learning. At least 30 minutes to an hour a day, every day should just be your study time where you are learning to master a new skill.
And it talks
Any
to
other question, guys?
Sorry, we all three spoke at the same time.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted to say what Moosa is saying, it talks to the whole idea of self-learning. There's still a mindset out there because people come out from school where everything is given to you on a platter. You are told what to do. You are taught by this person in front. So when they come out of school, they still expect that, and there's this mindset that I need a classroom environment to learn. Yet in the real world, you're not always or probably never going to get that opportunity. So you need to, and that's what we are trying to, get into our students also, that you need to take that initiative on your own and stay ahead by constantly learning. So I think, Moosa, that what you said is a very important message for our students, but for the community in general.
For sure, for sure. So look, let's break it down, right? Let's break it down. IT or software development is based on skill. It's based on practical experience, right? You can do a course and learn as much as you want, but if you don't apply it practically, you're not going to be proficient, right? I've seen people come in with no degrees and stuff like that and pick up tech skills, and I've seen people with PhDs not being able to apply the tech skill. It's a very practical world, and the best learning you're going to find is if you actually apply yourself, build apps yourself. If you are not building apps in your spare time and you are not writing software in your spare time, it's a muscle. You're going to lose it. It's going to become weak. If you were in a sporting environment, if you were a soccer or cricket player, you'd be training. There's a reason why Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, there's a reason why they're so good. When training ended, these guys stuck around. They put Tiger Woods hit an extra 10,000 balls. Ronaldo stayed 45 minutes to 2 hours after the training had been done. You have, especially in today's day and age, gone are the days where you finish off university, you go into the working world, and everything naturally, sort of carries on. There are 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds in India and China that will outcode all of us under the table. It's a competitive market. And in order to stay competitive in a competitive market, it's going to come down to your skills. So by the time you walk into an organization, if you can tell them, I'm proficient, I've built this web application, I have this GitHub repository, I've built these things, I've done this, I have experience here, that's going to give you a leg up, in competition and comparison to your peers.
Phenomenal.
Okay,
I think there's a couple of
so William asks, what programming languages do you expect your employees to be proficient in, right? So look, you get some, let's call it, there's a couple of camps that we call stereotypes that you can lump people into, right? So you get your .NET developers, you get your Java developers, you get your front-end developers, you get your full stack developers, right? The point here is, to answer your question directly, I actually expect people in my organization to be agile. So maybe you worked on a Java project, but I should be able to throw you on a .NET project. Maybe you worked on an Angular project, but I should be able to use you in a Flutter project. So you've got to be agnostic. But to answer your question directly, any object-oriented language, so be C-based, Java-based, .NET, C#-based, anything in an object-oriented manner should give you a decent level of competitiveness within the market. Okay, so what characteristics are you mainly looking for in your employees, right? So I think that's a simple one. I mean, you're looking for people who are proficient, hardworking, can take instruction, can understand, can problem solve, people who are professional, they can communicate. So I'm going to just pause here for one minute, right? It's over and above your technical skills. Communication is probably the most important skill you need to learn, right? Your ability to communicate or put into words your feelings, your requests, your agendas, whatever it is you're trying to do is very important. Do not underestimate the power of communication. If you're a quiet mouse and you're sitting in a corner, it's going to be very difficult for us to get value out of you, right? You have got to be sure of yourself. You've got to be confident. Your goal as a junior coming into the industry is to learn as much as you can, is to become proficient and skillful in what you're trying to do. So if your fear of speaking up is overriding your want for wanting to learn, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You've got to be confident. You've got to be fearless. You've got to go out there and grab the things that you want. I hope that answers the question.
Ibrahim, let us know if that answered your question. And then William has one more question. He says, what training should we do? How will we know whether our training is relevant or if we are focusing too much on unnecessary aspects?
I just want to add to William's second message there. I'm doing HTML, CSS, JavaScript. In the latter part, in the last quarter of the course, William, you're going to focus on React also and React Native. So, Moosa, based on that now, I think William needs some input.
Sure. So look, William, what should we do? How will we know whether our training is relevant or if you're focusing? There's no such thing as anything unnecessary. At the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, right? You walked into the organization, you didn't know anything. You'll walk out the organization, you'll know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, right? The key for you is to take note of how the learning was done. What was the courseware like? And then apply that later on down the line for other learnings that you need to do. So you don't necessarily need to be in a classroom to learn .NET or to learn Flutter. You can pick up a Udemy course. I guess the classroom is, like there's a saying that goes, if I had a product and I made it free, no one would take it. Right? If I had a product tomorrow, whatever the product is, and I made it free, no one would take it. But if I put a price tag on that product of 1,000 Rand, chances are I'd make 100,000 Rand because 100 people would buy my product because I've created an element of scarcity, right? Now, if you take your university, right, your parents are paying for your skills, they're paying for your education. If you don't go to university, you're more scared about dealing with your parents because you skipped university than you are scared about you missing out on the things that you've learned, if that makes sense. So when you're doing a course at home, you have got to take the discipline you learned at university and the things you learned to be able to learn that course and apply it to yourself. So anything that you do inside of a tertiary education, it's not about the thing you're learning. It's about them teaching you how to learn, learning to learn, if you understand what I'm saying. Any skill that you pick up is going to be relevant. Anything that they teach you is going to be relevant. How do you know whether it's unnecessary or not necessary? At the end of the day, these are, educational practitioners. They know what the industry needs. There's two parts of education. There's training you for the job you're going to do tomorrow and training you for the future. HTML and CSS is currently used today, but let's assume it wasn't used, right? The fact that you learned it is irrelevant. The fact that you do maths higher grade in high school is teaching you to do problem solving. Trust me, no one does trigonometry in software development. I assure you, trig doesn't help anyone. But if you can master trig, it gives you the ability to problem solve, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Ibrahim, to speak to your question here, sorry, Musfira, many job applications I've noticed require at least 1 year of experience. What are some effective ways besides the portfolio of projects we create to demonstrate my qualifications and break into the job market despite this hurdle, right? So there's a couple of things that you can do. One, you've got to have a portfolio, right? Uh, if you don't have a portfolio, I would get cracking on that one. Having a public available GitHub profile, having shown some experience in your practical application of the skills that you've done is second to none, right? But let's assume you don't have that. Your qualifications will speak for themselves as long as you have that. More than anything else that you're going to do, and this will apply across your life and everything that you do, it's based on the relationship of the people that you're dealing with. So it'll be your job to go and hunt down and do research as to who are the right people to be speaking to in which organization, and then putting yourself in front of them. You could do things like, doing a LinkedIn message. You could actually make a short little promo video of yourself, upload it to YouTube. So, for example, if someone, if I was applying for a job to Bilal, I'd put a promo video together and I'd send it specifically to him. And in that video, be like, "Hi, Bilal. I'm Moosa Gani. I just finished graduation. I'm looking to enter the job market. I've got X, Y, and Z skills. I feel I can be a real value to your organization." And you sell yourself in that promo video, right? There's a certain element of salesmanship that you need to bring to yourself because, in a sea of 100 people, how do you know which ones stick out or not? And you've got to find something that's unique about yourself that you can sell yourself that just puts you a little bit ahead of the rest. I'd hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let us know if that answered your question. One more question, and then we'll close off. Musa, I don't want to take too much of your time. But Ibrahim asks again, if we get an internship in your business and we only know certain languages, for example, I'm doing Python, HTML, and CSS, and I'm currently doing JavaScript, will you guys provide for us courses to learn new languages, or could you help us out with that?
Yeah. So if anyone comes into the organization, we'll provide all the training material. So some of it will be formal training material, some of it will be informal, like a Udemy course. Some of it will be a lot of on-the-job learning and our own custom training material that we've put together. But yeah, we will definitely make that available.
Lovely. Guys, I really do hope you enjoyed and benefited from this session. Um, uh, Definitely try to make use of the opportunity that Moosa extended. See if you guys can apply and get into a position. There's just so much more you can learn from him and benefit from him than we can fit into a 30-minute webinar. So I think if any of you want to take advantage of that, definitely reach out and make it happen.
And you
B,
heard
anything
what
you want to
Musa
add?
said. Musa said, nag him, right? Chase him.
That's how you look. I'll be honest with you guys, right? Like it's a tough environment out there, right? Jobs are scarce at the moment. For every, 5 or 10 years ago, for every job there were 20 people trying to get into the same job. Today it's like 100 people, right?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie to you and sit here and tell you that it's sunshine and roses. It is difficult. It is hard. You guys are gonna have to put in 150, 160% initially to get something, right? There's a lot of work ahead of you. It's exciting. It's not something you should see as negative. It's just the way the market is. Today it's like this. I promise you, 5 years from now, it'll be completely different. And 5 years from then, it'll be completely different. Your focus, your goal should be very simple. Build as much skill as you can in the shortest space of time. You need to be ruthless. You need to be super diligent and disciplined in what it is you're trying to do. If your focus is to get a job, then apply to as many places as you can. If your focus is to be, proficient in a specific language, go do as many courses on it as you can. Find the right people to help or guide you. If you get stuck, there's no such thing as a shortage of mentorship out there. You've got my details. You can contact me. I'm sure Bilal has a wealth of experience and knowledge that you can reach on as well. But the point I'm trying to make is that you remember something, it's your career, right? The only person that's going to drive your career is you. So what you put in is what you get out. And if you put in peanuts, you're going to get peanuts out. If you put in quality effort, energy, time, sacrifice, there's definitely value to be had on the other side of that equation. So more than anything else, believe in yourself, have the confidence, and put in the work, put in the drive, put in the work. Spend the time now while you are young, you have energy. I'm 40, I got kids. It's not the same anymore. What you call it, use your energy and use it wisely. Every hour gone is a golden hour you'll never get back. Make sure you get maximum value for the time you spend.
Sweet. Okay.
So guys, I think, yeah, we've gone 7 minutes over time. I think we can leave it there for now. Oh, Ibrahim asked if he can have your email address. Musa, would it be okay for us to share your email address with them, or?
I'm going to pop it in the chat now.
Perfect. Even better. Okay, guys, thank you all once again for joining. Musa, again, Jazakallah so much for taking the time to speak to us and offer your time and experience to our students. And I really, really do hope that they can benefit from this.
No, most welcome. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. And best of luck to all of you. Hoping to see your guys' names pop up all over the show.
Mhm. Likewise. Cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.